The expansion of our war effort has created an ever-increasing demand for more and more government office workers to perform services vital to the preservation of our nation and our free civilization. Every day, hundreds of new employees like these are being added to our office forces. People of varied types, background, education, and experience. How will these beginners turn out? Will they become efficient, conscientious workers? Or, in a few months, will situations like this be occurring?
Say, Beth, do you know how long you've been in here?
No, and I care less. Told the boss I had a headache.
Say, you've got stalling down to a fine art.
Yeah, well, you're not so poor at it yourself. The time you can take making up a requisition.
Or will this happen?
I'm quitting Saturday.
Getting married?
No, not that. I just can't take it here. I don't like it. I never did. I knew the first day I came that I wasn't going to like it.
What can a supervisor do to prevent poor work, bad morale, employee dissatisfaction? How can we develop efficient, loyal, contented workers so essential to our wartime activities? That's a question of vital importance. Let's begin our consideration of it by taking another look at these new employees and doing a little thinking about them. In the first place, let's realize that employees are people, human beings with likes and dislikes, desires and ambitions, feelings and emotions common to all of us. Another thing to remember is the importance of first impressions. They exert a tremendous influence on our lives. First impressions are lasting and difficult to overcome. This emphasizes the importance of our first meeting with new employees. For new employees are naturally under high nervous tension, which makes them keenly sensitive to impressions, favorable or unfavorable. This sensitiveness gives us an ideal opportunity for creating favorable and lasting impressions. Now, here comes a new employee. She has just left the personnel office and is on her way to the office in which she is to work. As she walks along, she feels ill at ease. Everything is so strange. A flood of thoughts crowd into her mind. She wonders if she'll be able to do the work. Is she competent to work for a great institution like the Navy Department? Perhaps she's making a mistake. Maybe she'd better call the whole thing off and go home. Let's leave Mary and go into the office to which she's been assigned. Here is a supervisor, fully aware of his responsibility and his opportunity, expecting the arrival of new employees, asking himself,
how can I get our new employees to look upon me as their friend, as being sincerely interested in them and their welfare? How can I make them feel at home in their new surroundings? How can I bring them into an understanding of their duties so they will develop proficiency and enjoy their work?
How do you do? You're Miss Denk, or is it Denke?
Denk.
We're glad to see you, Miss Denk. We've been expecting you. I'm Mr. Bergstadt, B-E-R-K-S-T-A-T.
How do you do, Mr. Bergstadt?
First, I think we'd better get rid of your coat and hat. We can put them right here. Now, won't you sit down and be comfortable?
Thank you.
You must be tired from your trip.
Yes, I am a little.
And coming into a new office like this makes one feel sort of out of place, hmm?
Yes, it does.
You know, it's something like school days, when we started in a new school and didn't know anybody. Remember how strange and difficult it all seemed?
Yes, I do.
But we soon got used to it. And I'm sure you're going to like your job and the people with whom you'll work.
Suppose we put down the first 2 steps in introducing new employees to the job. First, give the new employees a cordial greeting. And second, show your personal interest in their welfare.
Well, now let's talk a little bit about your new job. What kind of work have you been doing?
Oh, I work as a stenographer in a store for my father.
Just general stenographic work? Anything else?
Well, yes. For a while, I worked on accounts and did a little bookkeeping.
Oh, that's good. There'll be some statistical work attached to your new job here, and you'll find your experience will be very helpful. You'll become associated with one of the most important institutions in the world today, engaged in the task of backing up the armed forces of the Navy in defense of our possessions, our institutions, and our way of life. You're going to work in the office of the Assistant Secretary of the Navy in the Division of Personnel Supervision and Management, which is responsible for the development and administration of the personnel program of the Navy Department. Now, one part of the personnel program is the in-service training of employees. That's our job here. We are responsible for the coordination and administration of all in-service training for civilian employees. Your job will be keeping records of printed materials which are distributed to various activities to help them with their training programs. Now, only by keeping accurate records can we be sure that these materials are being sent to places where they'll do the most good. Now, your job may not sound very important to you, but it really is. So is every job in the Navy, from that of a messenger boy to that of the Secretary of the Navy. Because we all work together as one great team. Only teamwork will make us successful. As perhaps the personnel office told you, your hours on duty are from 8 to 4:30. There's a timesheet like this on the desk by the door.
Well, let's see. I put down here the time I arrive, and here I put down the time I leave at the end of the day.
That's right. And you'll be paid on the 4th and 19th of each month, unless payday falls on a Sunday or a holiday. In such an instance, you'll be paid on the following day. Now, your check will be delivered to your desk. You don't have to worry about going any place to get it. Now, remember, there'll be a 5% deduction for retirement benefit. That means that from your regular salary of $60, for each payday there will be deducted 5%, or $3. Now, deducting $3 from $60 leaves $57.
Is that what I'll get every payday?
Yes, except your first check will be just for the days you've worked, up until the first regular payday.
Oh, I see.
And another thing, you won't receive your first check on the next payday, but 2 or 3 days later you will receive a supplementary paycheck. You see, it's necessary to have supplementary checks because the personnel office won't have had time to get your name on the regular payroll.
Oh, I understand.
And like the others, you will have a half hour for lunch.
What time will that be?
From 12 to 12:30. If for any reason you can't get to work on time, or if you were taken ill, telephone me as soon as possible after the start of work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Now, here is the telephone number of the department and the branch through which you can reach me.
Thank you.
And here's another thing. You understand you are required to wear your temporary identification badge all the time you're in the building. Later, you'll receive a permanent badge with your picture on it.
What happens if I forget my badge?
Then it will be necessary for you to stand in line at the visitor's registry and be entered like any other visitor. That means you'll be late getting to the office, and the amount of time you lose will be charged against your annual leave. Minimum charge is 15 minutes. Now there's something else that I want to show you. This tells just what we are to do in case of an air raid alarm. 1, remain within this room quietly. 2, stay out of the corridors. 3, shut off all lights, motors. Now, in case you were injured or taken ill during working hours, report to me immediately.
Yes, sir.
We will arrange to secure first aid treatment for you at the dispensary, or arrange to have you go to one of the ladies' restrooms. Now, have you any questions about the things we've been discussing this morning? Is anything uncertain or hazy in your mind?
No, I can't think of anything now.
Well, if any time questions occur to you, please feel perfectly free to come to me.
Thanks, I will.
Now let's pause to add a third point. Tell the new employees about their work. Give them all of the information needed in the daily routine so that the new employees will understand the general operation of the office.
Now let's have a look around the office.
All right, thank you.
It'll help familiarize you with your work.
As the new employee is being taken around the office, the supervisor points out the various types of work that are being done at different places in the office. A little explanation of what different groups are doing helps a lot in making the newcomer feel at home. As occasion arises, the new employee is introduced to other workers. As far as possible, the tour of the office should be planned so as to end near the place where the new employee is going to work. This gives us 2 more points to add to our list. Acquaint the new employees with the office. Introduce the new employees to fellow workers in the office. Both steps are vitally important in getting new employees off to a good start.
Here, Miss Dake, is where you were to work. Now I'm going to introduce you to Miss Smith. She's been with us 5 or 6 years and really knows her job. She'll show you the work that you're to do and how to do it. Miss Smith.
Yes.
Miss Smith, I want you to meet Miss Mary Denk. Miss Denk, this is Miss Jane Smith.
How do you do, Mary?
How do you do?
I'm very glad you're here. I've been expecting you for a couple of days.
And now, Miss Denk, I'm going to leave you with Miss Smith. She'll show you what we want you to do. And, Miss Smith, at lunchtime, will you have one of the girls show Miss Denk to the cafeteria?
Yes, I'll be glad to.
And I'll see you again this afternoon before you go home.
Just sit down here, Mary. We'll talk about your work.
While Mary is getting started on her instruction, let's add step number 6. Introduce the new employee to the instructor and give the instructor a good build-up so the learner will have confidence in him.
How are you getting along with your work, Miss Denk?
Well, I don't know. I see I have a great deal to learn.
Don't you worry about that. You'll soon catch on. By the way, do you know how to get home?
Yes, on a Connecticut Avenue bus.
If you'll walk to the west corner of the building, you'll have a better chance of getting a seat.
Oh, thanks, I will.
And you remember, won't you, about signing out when you leave tonight and signing in tomorrow morning?
I'll remember.
I see you have a copy of the Departmental Employees Handbook. There are several things in it that we talked about this morning. I think it'd be a fine idea if you took it home with you and read those sections.
I'd be glad to.
I'll mark the sections for you. If you'll read them over, you'll remember the points much better. Now, is everything clear? Any questions?
No, I think not.
Well, I'll see you in the morning.
Step number 7. Check up Offer words of encouragement, show your personal interest, remind new employers of the daily routine, and keep checking up.
Good morning, Mr. Bergstadt.
Oh, good morning, Miss Dink. Glad to see you again. Did you have any difficulty getting to work?
No, I started early this morning.
That's fine. Miss Smith will see that you get started on your work, and I'll see you again later this morning.
All right, thank you.
Well, how's the work coming this morning?
A little better, thank you, but I'm pretty slow at it.
Oh, well, that's to be expected. You'll soon get the hang of it. Just keep on. By the way, did you have any questions about the material you read in the handbook last night?
No, it was all very plain, just as you had told me.
Fine. Now, here are some portions of the handbook that you'll want to be familiar with. For instance, these sections that I'm marking under employment regulations. And then you can start reading about employee organizations on page 47. Have you been assigned to an indoctrination class?
What's that?
It's a course of instruction on the material in the handbook. 1 hour a day for 6 days. If you haven't been assigned,
No, I haven't.
well, then I'll arrange for you to attend one of the classes. You'll start next Monday, and you'll find it very interesting.
Well, I'm sure I will.
Well, I'll see you again this afternoon. Well, Miss Smith, how's Miss Dink getting along?
Well, I think she's getting along very well. Here's some of the work she's done this afternoon.
I agree with you. Miss Dink is making very good progress.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I feel assured that Miss Dink will get along all right from now on.
That's fine. Well, Miss Dink, you've been with us a week now, and I think you've made fine progress. I hope you're beginning to feel at home.
Oh, yes, I really am.
Everything coming along all right? Is there anything that's bothering you? The reason I ask that is that often little things come up that can be easily ironed out at the time, but if not corrected, sometimes become serious.
No, Mr. Bergstadt, there isn't a thing. You've been grand to me from the first. If anything ever happens, I'll sure tell you.
And so ends our new employee's first week on the job, beginning when, filled with fears and forebodings, she walked down the corridor and was welcomed by an efficient supervisor who thoroughly realized his responsibility for getting new employers to look upon him as their friend and of making them feel at home, of developing them into efficient, conscientious, contented workers. Now, let's recall the steps which the supervisor followed in introducing the new employee to the job. First, give new employers a cordial greeting. Remember the importance of first impressions. Second, show a personal interest in their welfare. Third, tell them about their work. Give them all the information needed in the daily routine. Fourth, acquaint the new employees with the office. Fifth, introduce them to fellow workers. Sixth, introduce them to their instructor and give the instructor a good build-up. Seventh, check up, remind, encourage, and keep on checking up. By following these 7 steps, we can be assured we are doing our part in starting new employers on the right track to be of real assistance in the important work of the Navy Department.